Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Nahmadu wa nusalli wa nusallimu ala rasulihil kareem. Amma ba'd, and welcome to another video. Today's video is not going to be a short. We're going to keep it a bit longer because I want to explain something to you that's going to blow your mind. And I want you to close your eyes for a second and imagine that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has come to your home as a guest because he wants to eat at your home. What do you expect when the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam comes? So there's 10 things to expect if the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam comes to your home to eat. And what a blessed opportunity you've got right now. So let's think about the Prophet ﷺ is coming to your home and he's coming for some food because you've invited him. What's the first thing you'll notice? Well, the first thing you'll notice, as narrated by Imam Muslim in his Sahih, is that Nabi ﷺ will accept your invitation, doesn't matter how far you live. In the hadith of Sahih Muslim, the tribe of Banu Salima called the Prophet ﷺ for some food, and Banu Salima lived about 4 kilometers away from the masjid of the Prophet ﷺ, which is where his home was. They said to the Prophet ﷺ, "Inna nuridu an nanhara jazuran lana wa nahnu nuhibbu an tahduraha," that we're about to slaughter a camel that we have and we want you to come and be present and eat with us. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Yes, I will come." And after Asr Salah, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam went and visited them. That's the first thing you're going to notice. What's the second thing you'll notice? It doesn't matter who you are. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam is going to come to your home if you invite him. In fact, sometimes even his freed slaves or the freed slaves of the Sahaba would call the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam for some food. He would go and eat. In fact, the grandmother of his servant, Anas ibn Malik radiallahu anhu, when she called the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam for some meal, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam came and her name was Mulaykah radiallahu anha, and the hadith in Sahih al-Bukhari clearly mentions that he went and ate at her home, and Anas ibn Malik radiallahu anhu was there as well. So that's the two things you'll notice so far. The third thing that you'll notice is, don't worry, you don't need to make anything extravagant for the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. His simplistic lifestyle means you can make anything that you eat in your normal day-to-day lives, and Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam will happily partake in the meal. In the hadith of Sahih al-Bukhari, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, "Law du'itu ila kura'in la ajabtu." If I were to be called to eat the feet of a camel, i.e. this was a certain type of food, it's eaten even today in certain cultures, I would attend. And it's considered a simple type of food. Even if I were to be called to eat the foot of a camel, which is cooked, I will come and I will eat. I am a simple person. This is the idea that we get from Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In fact, when Itban bin Malik radiallahu anhu, who had slightly impaired eyesight, he invited the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to his home, as proven through the hadith in Sahih al-Bukhari again. He simply made a broth which is called khazira. What is this broth? It's literally just a small soup in which there are little pieces of meat, and that's all he made for the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam came to eat from that soup. The fourth thing that you would notice is that there would be no over formalities or takalluf or going above and beyond for the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam would not be needed when he would come to your house. For example, Anas ibn Malik radiallahu anhu says that when a tailor, a person who literally makes clothes, he invited the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to his home, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, all that was given to him was a simple stew with gourd and dried meat inside with some bread. That's it. Anas ibn Malik radiallahu anhu actually says, and this hadith is in Sahih al-Bukhari, where Anas ibn Malik radiallahu ta'ala anhu says, "Inna khayyatan da'a Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam li ta'amin sana'ahu." Indeed, a tailor called the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam for some food that he had made for the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Qala Anas ibn Malik, Anas ibn Malik says, فَذَهَبْتُ مَعَ رَسُولِ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وسلم إِلَى ذَلِكَ الطَّعَامِ. I went with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to that food, for that meal. فَقَرَّبَ إِلَى رَسُولِ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وسلم خُبْزًا وَمِرْقًا. And this person, this tailor, he put forward for the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam some bread and some soup and some stew. فِيهِ دُبَّاءٌ وَقَدِيدٌ. In it there were some gourd. فَرَأَيْتُ النَّبِيَّ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وسلم يَتَتَبَّعُ الدُّبَّاءَ حَوَالِي الْقَصْعَةِ. I saw Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam looking for the pieces of gourd all throughout the soup. He was trying to pick up on the piece of gourd and eat them. And Anas ibn Malik radiallahu anhu says, when I saw the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam looking eagerly for the gourd, فَلَمْ أَزَلْ أُحِبُّ الدُّبَّاءَ مِنْ يَوْمَئِذٍ. From that day on, I used to love eating gourd because I saw Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam wanting to eat the gourd. So that's 4 things you've noticed so far. What's the 5th thing that you'd notice? The 5th thing that you would notice is that when he would knock on your door, he's probably going to say, "Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh," as he's knocking or just before he knocks. And if you're smart, like Sa'd ibn Ubadah radiallahu anhu, as is proven through the hadith of Muslim Ahmad, you'll do what he did. Imam Ahmad rahimahullah narrates that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam came to the home of Sa'd ibn Ubadah radiallahu anhu, and he said, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Sa'd responded very quietly with, Wa alaikum assalam, but the Prophet ﷺ never heard it. So again the Prophet ﷺ said, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Again, Sa'd responded very quietly. This happened a third time, and the Prophet ﷺ was about to walk off, and Sa'd ibn Ubadah now suddenly opened the door. What did he say? So beautiful. Ya Rasulullah, bi abi anta wa ummi, ma sallamta taslimatan illa hiya bi udhunayya, wa laqad radadtu alayka wa lam usmi'ka, ahbabtu an astakthira min salamika wa min al-barakah. O Prophet of Allah, may my mother and father be sacrificed for you. You did not give a single salam except that I did respond quietly, but I just responded quietly because I wanted you to give more salam upon me, so that can be a means of me gaining more blessings and more tranquility in my life. The sixth thing that you would notice when the Prophet ﷺ would come to your house is that he will not bring an extra individual who has not been invited by the host. And once a man from the Ansar invited the Prophet ﷺ and 4 other people for a meal at his home. However, one more individual tagged along with the Prophet ﷺ. And so when the Prophet ﷺ reached the house of this host, the Prophet ﷺ immediately asked the host, إِنَّكَ دَعَوْتَنَا خَامِسَ خَمْسَ. Indeed, you called 5 of us, me and 4 other Ansar, and this person has also come with us. فَإِنْ شِئْتَ أَذِنْتَ لَهُ وَإِنْ شِئْتَ تَرَكْتَهُ. If you wish, you can give him permission and he can join us, or if you wish, if you want him to leave, he can also leave, and the person obviously gave permission. The 7th thing that you would notice if the Prophet ﷺ is now coming to your house and is coming to have a meal, the Prophet ﷺ himself will probably help out in dishing out the food. Even though he's a guest, he will help the host. In the famous incident during the Battle of the Trenches, Jabir radiallahu anhu invited the Prophet ﷺ to a meal, and the Prophet ﷺ actually said to the wife, or he passed on the message to Jabir to tell his wife radiallahu anha. In the hadith of Sahih Bukhari, he says to Jabir to pass on this message, قُلْ لَهَا لَا تَنْزِعِ الْبُرْمَةِ وَلَا الْخُبْزَ مِنَ التَّنُّورِ حَتَّى آتِيَ. To tell your wife, do not open the pot of food or bread from the clay oven until I come. And then Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam himself came and actually helped to dish out the food to all of the Sahaba. So those are 7 things you've noticed so far. The last 3. The 8th thing that you would notice is that the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam will not make a negative comment about any food that you make. Not only did he have a simplistic approach towards food, he would never ever complain if he didn't like a certain food. If anything, if he did enjoy something, he will make a positive comment to make the host feel really good about what they've done. So once when Jabir radiallahu anhu, as is reported in the hadith of Muslim Ahmad, when Jabir radiallahu anhu invited the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to a meal, there was some meat that was on the table or on the cloth that Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam was about to eat from. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam immediately exclaimed, كَأَنَّكَ قَدْ عَلِمْتَ حُبَّنَا لِلَّحْمِ. It's as though you seem to know how much we love meat. And so Jabir radiallahu anhu will have been very ecstatic to have heard such a comment. The 9th thing that you will notice is that although the Prophet ﷺ would praise good food, he would always make a point to remind the host and the guests that this food is a blessing from Allah the Almighty, and that we will be asked about how we spent the energy that we gained from this food. And so he would remind the host and the guests that we must use this energy that we gain from this food for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In the hadith of Jami' al-Tirmidhi, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was invited by Abu al-Haytham radiyallahu anhu for some food, and he brought with him Abu Bakr radiyallahu anhu and Umar radiyallahu anhu were also both invited. As they partook in this meal, what was the meal? It was just some water and some dates. That was the meal. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, as he was eating this meal, he said to the Sahaba, he said to Abu Bakr, Umar radiyallahu anhu, he said to Abu al-Haytham, he said to everyone who was there, لَتُسْأَلُنَّ عَنْ هَذَا النَّعِيمِ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ ظِلٌّ بَارِدٌ وَمَاءٌ بَارِدٌ وَتَمْرٌ طَيِّبٌ. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, indeed you will be asked about this bounty on the day of judgment. You're sitting in a cold shade inside a house, some cold water and some fresh dates. Of course, this would have made the host very happy, but at the same time reminded everyone of their responsibilities to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the 10th thing that you would notice, the 10th aspect that you would notice, if the Prophet ﷺ has come to your house, he's now eaten, mashallah, he's finished his food, what's the final thing that the Prophet ﷺ would definitely do if he came as a guest to your home, is that he will make dua for you. In the hadith of Sahih Muslim, Abdullah ibn Busr radiyallahu ta'ala anhu states that the Prophet ﷺ visited his home, and after finishing eating, he said to them, Allahumma barik lahum fima razaqtahum waghfir lahum warhamhum. Allah grant them barakah in that which you have provided for them, and forgive them and have mercy upon them. In the hadith of Sunnah Abi Dawood, Sa'd ibn Ubadah radiyallahu ta'ala anhu states that after the Prophet ﷺ finished eating some bread, just some bread at his house, he said, أَفْطَرَ عِنْدَكُمُ الصَّائِمُونَ وَأَكَلَ طَعَامَكُمُ الْأَبْرَارُ وَصَلَّتْ عَلَيْكُمُ الْمَلَائِكَةُ. That may the fasting people break their fast in your home, and may the pious people eat your food, and may the angels send blessings and make dua for blessings for you. And these are 2 du'as that we should make as well whenever we go to visit a host, and I will put a link link in the description of this video so that you can get a Arabic translation and transliteration of these 2 du'as that we need to read for our host whenever he invites us to a meal as well. So these are the 10 things that you would notice if the Prophet ﷺ came to your home to have a meal. And if you enjoyed this video, please do give it a like, share it with others, and please do subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much. Jazakumullah khair wa ahsan al-jaza.